I'm Elaine and I'm a carer for Brighton and Hove Supporting Lodging Scheme.
And my name's Clare Smith. I'm a fostering manager and also manager of the Supported Lodging Scheme.
Thank you both for coming in to speak to us today. Elaine, if I could start with you, could you tell me how you got into this?
That's a good question. I'm probably going back to 2017 when we decided we wanted to offer some support for young people, and we approached a local charity and they had a supported lodging scheme then, and we worked with them for about 3 years, and then in 2020 we moved across to work with Brighton and Hove in supported lodgings.
So you're doing a combination of fostering and supported lodgings. Could you tell us what the difference is between the two things?
Sure, yeah. So our approach is to work primarily with 16 to 25-year-olds, and that's called supported lodgings mainly, and under 16s is mainly for foster caring in a family setting.
And what was your motivation behind getting involved in this in the first place? What kind of conversations did you have with your partner about, hey, let's do this?
A few conversations about different things. Firstly, we've got a spare room, and we felt quite guilty about that. We had a spare room that was really doing nothing, and we wanted to make best use of that. So that was a motivating factor. But also, both of us work in our other lives in the caring professions, and we're really passionate about supporting people, particularly young people. So the two of those kind of came together with our interest in supported lodgings.
And when you're fostering somebody, or you've got somebody, that's coming to stay with you as a foster carer, how long, on average, is it like just a few days, or is it like a few months, or?
It really does vary. So we've had an opportunity where we looked after somebody for a week, and that was for respite, and they were on a placement with another family. More recently, we had somebody staying with us for 3 years, and we didn't expect that to happen. We thought probably it would be short term, but it works so well for us and for them that it just continued. So our experience is anything from a week to 3 years so far.
Yeah, there's quite a range. And how old was the person when they came to you that ended up staying with you for 3 years?
So he was 17. He was from Sudan, and it was our first experience of looking after somebody from another country who'd come into the UK as an unaccompanied young person. And he stayed with us till he was 20. And what was really amazing about this experience was that we supported him right through his education, and also right through to the point where he left us to move to live independently in his own accommodation.
And do you stay in contact with each other?
Actually, we do. And this weekend, tomorrow, we're meeting up and we're going for dinner together in I think it's an Arabic restaurant in Brighton. I've never been there before, so we're in his hands. And we probably see each other about every month, which is absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
To kind of keep in touch and just kind of get an update and just continue to watch him grow and develop. So it's such an honour to have that experience.
I was going to ask you what moments have meant the most to you as a foster carer, but I wonder if that's probably going to be your answer. But
that was an amazing moment. It was a sad moment as well, so I do recall, and it will probably stay with me forever. The day our young person arrived was a moment with carrier bags and very distressed and very kind of a bit unsure about what was happening. And then 3 years later, the moment our young person left us to move into their own accommodation, really happy, really smiling, and a few tears as well, but just a really proud moment for us and for him as well.
And do you remember much about that first night or that first day that they were with you?
We do. I mean, it was our first experience of supporting a young person from another country, so we weren't sure what to do, what to say, but we just went with our gut instinct really, and just asked them if there's anything they needed, whether they wanted a drink, some food, and just really, really gentle, and just giving them time and space to settle. And they'd had a bit of a journey travelling to get to us, and they needed time as well. So we just approached it as gently and as carefully as we could.
And I think that's something I've heard from other people in this situation, is that the first thing that young people typically want in that situation is just to go to sleep and rest for a bit, just kind of be in the room by themselves and just catch up with where they're at.
And that was exactly the case with us. So we gave our young person some space, knocked on the door, opened the door, brought in a drink, and they were laying on the bed, just kind of gathering themselves really with their bags around them. And then we offered to help them unpack and just slowly progress. And then we cooked a Sudanese meal. I'd never cooked a Sudanese meal before. I don't even know if he liked it, but he was really, really polite and he ate it, which is great. So it was just that kind of gesture of here's some nice food. And then thereafter, I think he much preferred burger and chips and pizza than Sudanese cooking, or my cooking anyway. But I think it's really, really important how you do that welcome and not to overwhelm a young person, just to kind of go at their pace and let them feel relaxed, and then just kind of allowing that trust to kind of develop itself.
What kind of other advice would you give to people thinking about doing this?
I would say talk to someone. For us, it was a journey becoming a foster carer or becoming a carer. It doesn't just happen overnight. There's a whole process that you go through, and we were really fortunate that we were able to talk to some other carers, some other foster carers, and just to get a first-hand, how does it feel? What are the challenges? What are the benefits? And I think that's a brilliant way in to be able to talk to others in a similar position. And also there's some training that you undertake, and there's also an opportunity to talk to others in the same situation. So I think if you're interested in becoming a carer or a foster carer, start the process by talking to others and just get a realistic kind of perception or picture of how that is.
And we're going to talk about some of the things that people might think may make them unsuitable to do this kind of work. One example I saw online was people thought you weren't allowed to do it if you have a pet. Now, you've got more than one pet, is that right?
We are inundated with pets. So we have 4 cats, and we did really think long and hard about whether this would be a suitable home for a young person. And we found for most young people it is. What we have experienced is that people who come from other countries are probably not used to having cats indoors as pets. But within time, it becomes like a natural thing within the family home. And the other concern for us, or a question for us, was around the fact that we hadn't had any children before, and we didn't know if we would make good carers or foster carers. And again, I would say that isn't a barrier. It's all about your relationship with the young person or young persons, and every kind of household is different. So having pets or not having children are certainly not barriers to becoming a carer or foster carer.
Okay, so if you have a guinea pig, that doesn't rule you out?
I'd say definitely not. There may be some pets that probably might rule you out, but in our experience, our cats have been a bit of an asset, really.
Okay, this may be a question that is harder to answer, but what would you say you've got out of the experience?
Oh, there's just so much. I mean, I could talk for hours about this. I think learning for us about what it's like to come into a country where you don't speak the language and you don't know the culture, and how confusing and scary and mystifying that would be. So being alongside a young person and kind of walking in their shoes and with them and experiencing that has been, I mean, you couldn't read that in a book and you couldn't watch a film about it. You have to kind of experience that. And also, at the moment, we have a young person living with us who's just started going to college this week, and just accompanying that person and being alongside them as they register, they enrol, they get a student union badge, just all of those milestones that probably British or local young people might take for granted. So what's been quite a joy for us is seeing the experience of our young person going through those steps, and the happiness that he has in being able to go to college and to learn English as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Elaine. We'll come back to you in a bit. I think, Claire, I'd like to turn to you now. And can you tell us, what is it you're looking for in a foster carer? What qualities would you say a foster carer needs?
Well, that's a really good one. Elaine summed it up in some ways, is that you don't, every child or young person needs something different, and every carer offers something different. So I won't be too prescribed about that, because actually the best thing is when we can look at what the child and young person needs and what the carer offers and bring the two together. So I think that's quite important. I think a lot of people feel that they're sort of barred from fostering for a variety of reasons. So you don't have to be married, you don't have to be in a couple, you can be single, you can be in your own home, you can rent your accommodation, you could work or you could not work. So all of those things are possible. Personally, I think you've got to like young people. That does really help if you like young people and children. Don't joke about that, but you know, being interested in that and seeing the sort of milestones and things. But personally, I think a sense of humour is quite helpful. I think you've got to be resilient and you've got to be flexible as well. But saying that, you know, our carers work really hard to sort of help with young people, establish them with boundaries, with routines, you know, to help them to integrate into life. So, and again, it works. Some people become carer, they have their own children in the household. Some people have adult children who have left the household. Those people can play an important part in this family as well. And we've definitely seen a situation where the young people have sort of related to the other children or adult children in the house. That can be really important as well.
And what kind of rewards and support do people get from the local authority for doing this work?
Well, foster carers get quite a generous allowance. Well, you can always look that up on our website, and I'll give you details of that in a moment. But what most of our carers tell us is that it's the support that is important, and we have worked really hard over the years, both with our supported lodgings carers and our foster carers, to develop our support package. So I suppose the key relationship is that each carer has their own worker, and that worker gets to know you very well and you get to know them very well, and they're there at the end of the phone. You know, they come and visit you regularly, they talk at times of crisis, and that's who you call. We offer a range of support groups. Carers also have a lot of peer support that they build. The training is very good. We have a range of psychologists and therapists on hand, both to help you as the adult and the child, the young person as well, because both can do with bit. So I think the support package is really the important bit. We also sometimes people need to have a bit of respite, if I'm honest. If you're doing this 24/7, and some of the children and young people that they look after, it can be intensive. You know, a lot of these children have been through quite significant trauma, and that, you know, will come out. You will be partaking of some of that with them. So at times having a bit of a break can be important. We've got a range of carers that offer some respite to others, but that break can be as important as well. It sounds strange that you take a child or young person, but you've got to keep your resilience. You have to keep going, basically.
So let's talk a little bit about trauma and related issues. So obviously this can be an issue with unaccompanied asylum-seeking children, and it'll also be an issue with looked-after British children that are in the care system. Yeah. How does it differ between the two groups? This might be one for Elaine as well as Claire.
I do have a little bit of a theory about it, and so it's a little bit of things. So often the young people, the unaccompanied refugee children come through, often their early parenting experience has been good. And I think that's well worth stressing, that they haven't come to this country because of problems with their relationship with their parents. They may have seen or witnessed horrible things in their own country or on the journey here, but often their relationship with their parents is good. And of course, if you're a British child in the care system, you're normally here because of some kind of fractured relationship or trauma in your childhood, often to do with your parents. So it does produce something sort of differently, and I suppose your approach as a carer is kind of recognising some of that. I mean, some of the young people are in contact with some of their families or disparate family members throughout the country or other countries, which can be really helpful as well, but of course they miss their families terribly as well.
And I guess, I don't know if it's worth getting into this issue, but one of the differences with working with unaccompanied asylum-seeking children that need support with trauma and things like that, is that they're not necessarily going to have the same level of alcohol and substance misuse that you might find in the general population, just because of cultural issues or traditional issues or whatever it is. But I guess that must make life easier because you haven't got to deal with that on top of this. Yeah,
I think there's some truth in that. Actually, they can find those areas they can do after they've been here. But I think you're absolutely right. The sort of trauma is different, and it may be more concerned with the whole system that's around trying to get sort of right to remain, and the stress that brings with it as well. So it's different. And I think it's really worth stressing, I think looking after a refugee child or unaccompanied asylum-seeking child, they're still teenagers, and they're going through those developmental milestones. Now, some of them may have had some really adult experiencing things on their journey here, but they are still, as Elaine said, still going to college or still getting that small, and that juxtaposition between some of their life experiences and some of their developmental experiences. I mean, they can still need help. They might have travelled from one side of the world to the other, but sometimes they still need help with a washing machine, don't they? Or,
Yeah, I agree, and I think the big difference for us, because we've looked after British local young people and also young unaccompanied asylum seekers, is both can experience trauma in different ways, and it manifests in different ways. Our experience around children from other countries or unaccompanied children is that they're also quite isolated. And also they may not have the language to be able to express as well. So it can be a different approach, but also a different way of accessing support and care as well, if they're not able to express how they feel. So I think there's definitely similarities, but there's also those differences as well.
I think one of the things that we've sort of got within, because we're talking, we're from from Brighton and Host, so the local authorities. So, the young people get their own worker, just as Elaine gets her own worker as well, and our team of social workers and personal advisors that work with children have got a great deal of experience now also working with refugee children, and they can be very helpful. So you as a carer can turn to them as you can do your own support worker as well, and then hopefully there's build that sort of wraparound care around that young person, so people get to know them.
And how do you decide that, say you've got a few different people who want to be carers, and then you've got a few people who need homes to go to? How do you decide who goes where?
I'd like to say we had lots of people that we could choose from, but often we try and think about maybe the family composition. We try and think about location. We kind of think about previous experience, maybe previous cultural experience as well. It's interesting that the second young person you've looked at, they've both been from Sudan, and you've built up a little bit of knowledge now about the sort of culture, haven't you, thinking about your experience as well. We might have to think, you mentioned pets earlier on. We have almost all of our foster carers have dogs, and for some young people that can be an issue. They're not used to having pets inside the house, as Elaine mentioned. So we might have to think a little bit about that. We might need to think about college and where they're going and what they need. We might need to think about other children and young people in the household. We're looking at all those factors, and it's different every child, and every carer is offering something different. So it is quite a matching procedure. We will try and get the best match that we can.
And then something magic can happen. So in our situation, we weren't aware that both young people have a real passion for football. And myself and Dave, who I live with, we also have a passion for football. So together we found this amazing kind of shared experience, and going to football, watching football. I mean, it's a bit of a passion for us. So sometimes the match can work really well, but also then you find another gift that comes from that, and you've got shared interests as well.
We've got some carers who are really interested in cricket. That's worked to their favour as well, actually.
Oh, that's fantastic. So somebody that's interested, they don't have to be a football fan, but they might want to get involved. What's their first steps? How do they get in contact with you?
Okay, so I think so they can contact us. We're at the local authority. We're at www.foster brighton-hove.gov/fostering. So we have a website. There is a little bit of a process for going. I'm not going to apologise for the process taking a little while. Because I think it's such an important decision that you're making. It's life-changing for you, and we want people to be as fully informed as possible. So the first step is probably a call, either email or telephone us via our website to have an initial chat. And then the next stage, we'll probably arrange to come and visit you in your own home to get you know a bit better, to hear a bit more. We offer information sessions every 2 weeks. They're just an hour online. We always have a carer there, so just as Elaine said, it's really important to hear it from the horse's mouth. And what we're trying to do is give people the information for them to let it filter down and work out if it is right for them. I think a lot of people have maybe fantasies about fostering, what they can and what they can't do, so it's really important to us to give information to people to be making their own decision to see if it is going to work. And after the initial stages and the visit, we then go into an assessment process. I won't lie, there are quite a few checks that we need to do on people. You can understand why. I think probably one of the most responsible jobs in the world is looking after somebody else's children. So we take that very seriously. So there are a number of police checks. We take up references. We take up work employers' references. We will take up some personal references as well. We will spend time with people, getting them to think about their experiences and how that impacts on what sort of carer they will be, attitudes towards education, support. So getting to know people, getting to know their strengths, getting to know their vulnerabilities is what we will think about doing. So the sort of process, probably from start to end, it will be 6 to 9 months, probably from when you make that initial phone call to getting the full dotted approval. I'm not going to apologise. I think it needs to take time because I think people have to think seriously about this and need to be clear that it's right. And if we haven't put you off by then you're going to be really good carer.
How was the process for you, Elaine? How did you find it?
It didn't feel like a long process, and what's also helpful is that you can pause if, for example, there's other things going on, like you're going on holiday or you might have some family matters. You can just put a little pause on and then come back to it. I think the main thing for us was the process of not just going through the kind of training and understanding about supported lodgings. It's also an opportunity to reflect on why you want to be a carer or foster carer, and also reflect on your experience of being a young person, because I think there's a lot to learn from your own experience that you can bring with you as an adult as well. So it didn't actually feel like a long process, but I think it's also really, really helpful for it to be a slow process and not something that you rush into.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about something you told me is some training that you did recently on hair and skin care. Is that right?
I've got some training booked, which I'm really, really excited about. So what's great about being linked into Brighton and Hove Council and the fostering service is that you get access to a lot of training that you can book on and kind of adapt around your own kind of other life outside of fostering. So I've done quite a lot of training already, but this one I've wanted to go on, and it's always been full. So as soon as it was advertised this week, so it's black hair and skin care, I booked on it. It's not till November, but I'm really excited about it, so I'll let you know how that goes.
And that's just a kind of example I hadn't thought about, a way for carers to care, or an aspect of care that I hadn't considered.
We did another training recently. You talked earlier on about a young person when they first arrive and just needing to get into a room and a bit by themselves, but it's not always the case. A lot of these young people, we've just done a course on supporting young people, children, asylum seeking young children through sleep hygiene, because a lot of them have arrived in this country, they've kind of been awake all night, they've been used to sleeping in groups, hypervigilant at night, not able to get into a sleep routine. So we ran a recent course about, helping children to get back into good sleep hygienes. The young people, if they wanted, we provide them with sleep packs, which can be things like a lavender bag, a nightlight, and various things to help get them sorted to go, because sleep is a problem for some young people, and if we don't sleep but we need to be up all day, then it's not going to help our mental health, is it? So
that's really interesting. Yeah. All these different aspects of it that you've considered. I think that's fantastic. Okay, well, I'm convinced. Let me know where I can sign up. Anybody else wants to get in touch, they can get onto the Brighton and Hove website and have a look at the information there about fostering. I think there's some films that you've made of people's experiences as well that they can watch, which is, as Elaine was saying, the most useful things to talk to people that have already done it. So I think that's a great start. Yeah.
Just to say, we can always help get people in contact with foster carers. Elaine, you've helped out a number of people. You've talked to people interested in supported lodgings. And I think I just sort of like people to think there is fostering and there is supported lodgings. Fostering is again for the sort of younger children. It is full on and it is quite time consuming. And we supported lodgings is more for the older young people who have a degree of independence, which means, for example, that it's compatible with work and that you can do that. We've got in Brighton and Hove, we have about 150 fostering homes. We've got about 30 supported lodgings carers. We operate within about a 20-mile things of the centre of Brighton, so we take people in from sort of Worthing and things. That's all works, and there is a quite a fostering community. People getting support from each other, building relationships through that, and with us as the sort of fostering and supported lodgings team.
Brilliant, thank you. Elaine, is there anything you wanted to add?
I think just what you were saying, Claire, about the network and the community, it's really, really important that you don't feel that you're going to be isolated. I never feel isolated. I've got my own worker, and also we connect with our young person's personal advisor, and then we're part of a wider network and support network, which is really, really important. So, yeah, just to say that you're not going to be on your own, you're going to be connected to others.
Brilliant. Okay, Elaine and Claire, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us today.